everybody, Brandon Jones here. I'm joined by Mr. Kyle Bossman.
I love trailers.
And Mr. Daniel Bloodworth.
Hi.
We're both sipping coffee. You both got beverages.
Yeah, just a nice afternoon brew.
They are ready. They are refreshed. They are so fresh, in fact, that they have just watched this trailer for the first time. Apologies for you fanatic game fans out there. We love ourselves some video games. I just got back from vacation. Not a lot of good game trailers out there. And then, wha-bam, somebody hits me up on Twitter and says, when's Spectre happening? When are you guys going to talk about it? Big James Bond fan, I just want to point out, my favorite movie trailer of all time is the second trailer for GoldenEye.
Whoa.
I'm not going to go so far as to say it's one of the best trailers ever made. I just love the editing of it. I love that Bond theme. I love remixing it. I love everything possible about the potential of every Bond trailer. And this is a pretty darn good one, so let's talk about it.
You had no authority. None.
See, I didn't prep you guys at all on whether this was going to be a movie or a game or whatever. Just kind of threw it at you, which is a good way to get a trailer. Not a lot of setup for when we were going to get the next trailer. This is the second trailer. It's called the official trailer for Spectre.
The last one was not official?
Yeah, I think it was a teaser. It was a teaser or debut trailer or something like that. The official trailer is really like, okay, everybody, this is it.
Yeah.
What we just did before, which is kind of setting up what you're looking at now. And we have, obviously get a lot of exposition. We get Moneypenny spoilers. I don't know if you guys saw her introduction in the last movie. We get the new Q. I don't know if that's officially what he's being called, if they changed his character name. But we're kind of settled into this new Bond world with these new people filling these new roles. And we get a lot of callbacks. We get this guy from Casino Royale who he grabs at the end. Like, Casino Royale ends with that guy being captured by James Bond and, like, doesn't really come back in these movies. It turns out, is he living in seclusion? Does James have him tied up to a chair somewhere? Kind of, how does he factor into it? And, we got Batista, who's amazing, who everybody loves from Guardians of the Galaxy. One of my favorite things that they say right away is I love... Moneypenny says, a lot of people say you're finished, but I just think you're getting started. And that clearly is a comment on, them weighing, should we start over with a new Bond, or, how many more movies are we getting? And I think they've signed on for, like, 3 more. I think This is kind of the beginning of the end of the Daniel Craig saga. And it plays on one thing that does bug me, and that's... Potentially. I'm not saying... I'm kind of on the fence actually about it with this trailer. And that's, bringing in... from Inglourious Basterds. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. This amazing actor who's playing the villain. Christoph Waltz is playing the villain. To bring him in, have him be like, remember me from the other movies? And like, nope, I don't think you were cast. I don't think... They might have been hinting that there was a greater power, but, him saying, I was always there. It's like, you weren't. And it's very easy to kind of write that in after the fact and throw a character in and say he's tied to everything. So I'm really curious how they wrap that up. At the same time, the Casino Royale, which was Daniel Craig's first Bond film, definitely ended with a lot of questions. It definitely ended with, there are other people we have not met. There's more that we have to learn about how all of these things potentially tie together. Do they need to tie together? Lots of comments. What do you think, Mr. Kyle Bossman?
What I like about it's a James Bond trailer for sure. Most action movies are really going to try to just show a huge set piece, something exploding. I think the closest thing you get here is the helicopter that's turning over. But a lot of the things that I think are most impactful from this trailer are imagery. Just some of the shots. You can tell it's a well-directed movie from the trailer. Do you know? Just like the shot of the funeral, you see that cross, and it's all just black and white, basically, the colors we see, and he's wearing sunglasses. Oh, my goodness. And what an introduction to Christoph Waltz's character. The author of All Your Pain.
Who we don't see in the first trailer at all. We hear from him. We see him in silhouette, and we actually only see twice in this entire trailer. We see that really great shot, breaking down that fourth wall, looking directly at James.
Yes.
It's kind of like Eyes Wide Shut, he just really picks that one person. Clearly James snuck in there and was like, no one knows I'm here. And he's like, are you an idiot?
I see you.
I planned this event to meet you, And then we only see him, like you mentioned, the great line, which again plays on him saying, I'm the puppet master. All of this was my doing. So I'm curious to see how the movie plays it out. Mr. Blood, are you a James Bond fan at all?
I mean, I enjoy the movies here and there, but I don't really follow them. But I think that, this is a really great trailer. In a way, it's like you get a lot of story, but I think it's in a way that really does hook you in to, want to know how is this all going to play out. It feels like there's some very personal stakes involved in all of it. You kind of get the whole gamut of, like, everything that you expect from a Bond film, from, like, the cars to the action to the girls to the web conspiracy that's going on. And I think you get this sense of, how long does he want to keep going in this, And so it's kind of funny when you bring up a deal like that, because like how many movies he's got left in him feels like it spoils the plot a little bit.
And that kind of what was the last movie was about, was him kind of losing his edge a little bit and realizing, like, am I too old? And I like the kind of the dichotomy that always exists in Bond films about, like, are we talking about this Bond or are we talking about Bond? Like, how many missions has this Bond been on? Like, what? How does this world make sense? Is this really the 8th M, or are we just supposed to focus on the stuff that Daniel Craig has done? And I think it kind of plays on all of that stuff. The one thing that I have to admit I was expecting is we never really get action for that long. We do kind of get the helicopter spinning, the cars, flying out of barns, or airplanes crashing through forests. And I really expect it to, like, build up to some big, you just play the theme for 20 seconds and you wrap up all these cool action bits. And it never does that. It kind of ends abruptly. Do you think it needs that, or do you think this is clearly like a plot-heavy trailer? I'm
happy for it not to have that. I'm happy with where it ends. There's a weird shot of, like, them shooting some glass, like a pane of glass, and the glass shattering very close to that end. I don't think that needs to be there. That seems out of place. But yeah, shots of it looks like the guy who plays Moriarty's in there just for a second. But yeah, that's cool. It's all awesome.
I think this is just really, what's this movie going to be about? And this trailer is, you don't need to watch another trailer. It's like, you've got it.
Absolutely.
Like, everything you need to know, what's going to be great about this, about, locations and cast and all of that is right here. I love that they have the introduction of the car followed immediately by seeing it on the road and doing this crazy drive on the wall thing. I think it's got a nice line to carry you all the way through and get you excited.
Good point, Kyle. I think, like, going into this movie without hearing any more Christoph Waltz lines, I think is the way to go. I think you're meteor blackout after this. Also, it doesn't really speak. I mean, two extra actors that we're seeing that we haven't really mentioned specifically. Are we scared of Batista? Do you think they do a good job of setting him up as, like, we see him snapping some necks here, we see him shooting guns at Bond, and Bond looking nervous, trying to run away from him? Are you frightened of him?
No, his character is not a character in this. He's just a guy throwing punches. Yeah. So you're right. They could have established his character more in the trailer, I suppose.
And I can't believe we've had this many Bond movies, in my lifetime at least. I was born well after, when this franchise started, that Monica Bellucci has not been a part of in some way. So finally, she seems just like absolutely like the perfect Bond girl. One last thing, a moment that I really, really like, something that's really key in trailers. Talk about tone a lot, but one thing that's really important is musically, thematically, pace-wise, shifting the trailer in a direction you're not expecting. And the moment when we see all these trees lit up in gold and yellow and the cars driving in, and we kind of introduced to Spectre when we attend this meeting where Bond is outed, I love the change of pace there. Because it really feels like there's going to be a big moment, or like the big brass Bond theme is going to come crashing in, or there's going to be some explosion, and the whole thing drops out. And we just get piano, and all of a sudden it's, we're in danger. Subterfuge, is such a big part of Bond and is not something that's really sold a lot in the trailers. So even though selfishly, as an editor, Kyle, I want that big 20-minute action sequence, I guess that's really not the trailer that they're selling here. And I think it's cool. I think it's interesting. We've gotten a lot of Bond movies with Daniel Craig, so it's going to be interesting to see how long they can drag this out and how important this will be to the overall story. It's hovering in the 8 range. 8.7, I think. I think I still have some doubts. I think that's it. I think I still have. I think it's that curiosity that I have of, like, does Christoph Waltz really have anything to do with the 3 movies that I've watched? Not really convinced on that, but definitely a high 8 for sure. So that's my score.
Yeah, I'll give it a 9. I think it really speaks to what is unique about James Bond. It looks like a James Bond movie, and this trailer communicates all of those things. Daniel Craig's such a good actor. You get points just for having him in your trailer, which is not fair, but it is how it is. And yeah, I'm really pumped. I'm pumped after this. I'm pumped for a new James Bond movie. I like when James Bond is on his own.
I'm also going to go with a 9. As I said before, I think this just nails everything that they need to communicate with this movie. You don't need anything more. Maybe there are a few too many shots of the plane crashing into things. You almost feel like I can, like, put that whole sequence together.
And that's it. It's really putting that sequence together. Yeah. And to get back, the reason why I mentioned GoldenEye before is it's like, you've seen that movie now. We all have, and so we can piece together. We know what we're looking at, but it's like really hard to kind of piece all of the shots together. They're thrown at us so fast. where it's like you can clearly see. Okay, he gets in the car and drives, and then the plane.
Yeah.
That swooping shot of the plane, I'm just gonna guess is before the shot where its wings get torn up. I'm just gonna throw that out. So you want to stay away from that. But hey, you both scored it higher than I did. 8.9 for the collective score. For Spectre. So it sounds like we're sold. I don't know if we'll have a GT official outing to go see James Bond, but it sounds
Let's do it.
Clearly one of us in this group, perhaps all of us, are going to go out and check out this movie, which I totally missed at the end. No pre-order now for movie trailers, Kyle. That's one thing that they will always have going for them.
Wait, don't they have like a Fandango link at the end of this, actually?
Is that a pre-order now? You buy tickets now?
Yeah, Brandon...
we gotta see that.
I might have
now.
to take off 0.5 points.
It's too late.
Okay.
You cashed it in. You had your chance.
That's my own misstep.
You're over the line, Smokey. Pass go. There's no turning back for us or for James, but a nice surprise today. Thank you, Kyle, and thank you, Blood, for sitting down and watching a James Bond trailer, and thank you guys for listening to it. We'll see you next episode.